First to Chelsea, where Liam Delap's return from injury was cut short after a red card against Wolves, so he'll be suspended for tomorrow night's match at Spurs. His head coach, Enzo Maresca, has been speaking to the media. We can hear from him now.
Can I start by asking you about Liam Delap and whether you've spoken to him since Wednesday night, explained to him, how you saw it from your point of view and what he had to say?
No, but I don't need to speak with Liam. Anyway, I spoke with Liam, but Liam he knows everything. He's aware of the situation. He knows that he made a mistake, and full stop. No more than that.
Do you think the players appreciate you being as open and honest as you were on Wednesday night?
This is a question for them. The problem is that when I say that there is no concern about red card, no concern. If I say that we need to avoid red card, we need to avoid red card. I say what I think is correct to say. Sometimes we had red card that was difficult to avoid, and sometimes we had some red card that we could avoid.
Do you think, generally speaking, there is a problem with discipline?
I think that some of the red cards that we concede, we can avoid that.
And likewise, some of the yellow cards you were saying on Wednesday night as well were avoidable as well?
I don't know.
What can you do to change that, do you think, to change some of the rash tackles, some of the challenges, the avoidable cards?
It's also something that we need to learn. Something that we have to do better, and for sure, no doubt that in the future we're going to be better also on that.
Well, that is the Chelsea head coach. Now we can speak to the fans. Sky Sports have partnered with Finalysis, an app where passionate fans share their opinions on their club. You can scan that QR code if you want to be involved, or go to the Sky Sports app for more details. And we've got Tottenham supporter Chris Cowlin and Connor Holden from the Chelsea side. Good morning to both of you. Friends today, foes tomorrow. Chris, you're the home side. We'll start with you. If you win, are you title contenders?
Absolutely not title contenders. No, let's not get carried away at all.
Why not?
He's a realist. He's a realist, Tom. I like that.
Why not? You're 5 points behind Arsenal. You win tomorrow. You never know. Burnley could do you a favour.
No. Thomas Frank has come in. He's done a good job so far. But what worries me at the moment is the final third. I think I last spoke to Jay on here on the opening weekend of the season when Richarlison had just scored 2 fantastic goals against Burnley. And we haven't really seen that since. And we are struggling in the final third. Yeah. Of course, set pieces are a big part of Thomas Frank's game at the moment, and we haven't really seen entertaining football, although we have been, getting some really, really good results, conceding 23 shots at Monaco a week or so ago, and we got away with a point there in the Champions League. So performances have been quite mixed, but no way are we in a title race. Let's not get carried away.
I was thinking the same thing, to be honest. Obviously, like you said, we spoke at the beginning of the season. I thought Richarlison would be that guy that could get maybe 10, 15 goals. But to have Van der Ven as your top goal scorer this year is very worrying. I mean, I know that, conceding goals, obviously you can't do that, and you've got great defenders in that. I think one of your main strengths is your back line, and then you've got Pellegrini in there, who's been fantastic. But I was thinking about the other day, like, you need a top striker now. You need a goal scorer, a real goal scorer.
You're absolutely right, Jay, and it is a big worry at the moment. Where are the goals going to come from? Where, when you go from someone like Harry Kane and Heung-min Son, being in your final third, and then you go to players like Richarlison, Tel, Mawani, it is complete contrast, and it is a little bit of a worry for us where the goals are going to come from. As you've said, Thomas Frank has made us defensively strong, and he's made us a team a lot more difficult to beat, but we have struggled at home so far this campaign, only winning that Burnley game on the opening day of the season, lost to Bournemouth, Villa, and of course drew against Wolves. So these results at home haven't been good enough. But in that final third, it does worry me. But we are, as I said, a more difficult team to break down and to beat. And like I also said, the set pieces, both defensively and offensively, are very, very important to Thomas Frank. But I don't want to sit there as a Spurs fan. I don't want to seem ungrateful here, because we've gone from Ange Postecoglou, mad football, to, football where, we are hard to beat, but we haven't been entertained yet, and we don't want to be entertained by having a Kevin Danso throw. We don't want that to be the most exciting thing in a game.
But Connor, we all have been sitting there thinking, hold on, what about us? We need to score goals as well. Our strikers haven't been scoring either. So I guess that's the same issue for you.
Yeah, I think the thing is with Tottenham at the minute is it's a little bit more to do with how they progress the ball up the pitch and how they get to that final third to then score goals. Whereas I think for us, we're getting to those areas and we're just struggling to break down those low blocks with our strikers. We have someone like João Pedro who likes to drop in deep. Liam Delap's just come back, literally just got a red card after coming back. And we've got our other striker option is Mark Guiu, who is 19. So the options aren't there after losing Nicholas Jackson. So I think that's where the issues for us are up front and the goals not being spread out because Cole Palmer's obviously missing as well. So those goals are having to come from new guys like Garnacho, like Esteval, like Gittins, who are all trying to sort of bed into the system as things stand. So they're having to do it on the fly and really try and adapt as quickly as possible to help us.
I mean, I watched the game the other night and it was a fantastic performance from Chelsea. But I look at Gittins. That's the first time I've really seen him play well. Obviously, he got 2 assists and a goal, which was fantastic. Esteval, I'm a bit surprised. Sometimes he plays, sometimes he doesn't. I look at him and I say he's got unbelievable quality. I think at the moment, Neto, going forward, is your most consistent player. He's always a threat, either wing he plays on. But again, the big question is, did Chelsea make a huge mistake in letting Jackson go? Because as much as, people might question his attitude and question his output sometimes, one thing he did do was stretch defences. And, João Pedro is not doing that. Like you said, he drops into the 10 position quite a bit. He played as a 10 for Brighton quite a bit when Welbeck was playing. So do you think that was a huge mistake from Chelsea now?
I do in hindsight, and I did at the time anyway, because exactly like you said, I think João Pedro is more of a hybrid forward. You want to play him up front sometimes, but you want to play him in the 10. Sometimes he can even play it off the wing and come inside if you wanted him to. So he's a very versatile player. So in that sense, as soon as Delap went down injured, alarm bells were ringing because that means you've sort of taken those options away from yourself. And like you said, I think we said it the other day after the Sunderland game when I was on, you do sometimes miss someone like Nicholas Jackson who can make those relentless runs and be a bit of a beneficiary,
a handful,
sort of allow the others to benefit from that, which Cole Palmer had a really good relationship with Jackson for that same reason. Jackson would stretch and Palmer would have the space to operate in. And I think right now that's why we've been begging out for somebody like Delap to come back so that you can stretch that and make that sort of space for our attacking players to thrive.
Also, do you think that the problem that Chelsea have is the fact that you don't have a real experienced player or players going through the spine of your team? You've got one of the youngest teams in the Premier League, and it just seems like that's what Chelsea need in order to go forward now.
They spent over £1 billion. How do they not have what they need?
Yeah, and
you got a good point. But nonetheless, is that what you think you need in order to be successful?
It is, and it's all to do with how the squad's been built. I think the 2 biggest problems for us right now stem from how the squad has been built. Firstly, again, you can talk about how much has been spent on the team. A lot of it isn't actually in the team. A lot of it is at Strasbourg on loan or sort of like to do with how they're looking to build for the future. So fair enough. But firstly, the team's been built quite underwhelmingly in terms of physicality, and I think we're beaten in that sense a lot of the time. Not just set pieces. We're the worst set piece defensive team in the league this year. We've conceded the most XG from set pieces this year of any other team.
You don't have much height though, do you?
No, exactly, and we've not got the physicality to deal with that. And then when we're put under that pressure because of the amount of long balls and set pieces that can come into the box against us, we then also lack the experience to sort of calm the game down and deal with that adversity. So the 2 things compound together.
Yeah, experience is definitely part of it for Chelsea as well. Chris, Jay says that this is a bigger game for Chelsea. Why, do you agree with that? Is it not a bigger game for Tottenham?
It's a big game for both clubs, in my honest opinion. At home, our form needs to be a lot better, and our mentality. I've said this for many, many years. I know this is a home game for us, but us travelling to the likes of our biggest rivals, Arsenal, we've only won once at the Emirates in Premier League history, once at Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and these games, mean a lot to us fans, and it is a huge game for both clubs. It's a very, very hard one to call, if I'm completely honest, because when I look some of the Chelsea games and seen them this season, they're very mixed. we've been very mixed. We've got to be honest and frank and be very realistic about where we are, because of course we finished 17th last season, and now we want to get back into those European spots, and we want to win another trophy, having won the Europa League. So it's a huge game for both clubs, and it's a huge game for Thomas Frank, because it's one of the.
Is it more difficult for you to take when you lose to Arsenal or when you lose to Chelsea?
It's both the same. I can't choose between those.
I've got a better question for you. Guys,
I hate these fixtures.
How far do you think you're behind the best team in London?
Who's that to?
Both of them.
In terms of now or generally? Because
in terms of now, how far do you think you guys are behind the best team in London?
About 300 million.
You blame it on money now.
I don't think we're as far behind as people make out. I think that Arsenal, they are, for me, the best team in the league right now because of how they're built to deal with every phase of the game. Like I say, defending, attacking, set pieces, being physical, but also being able to play through teams when they do press them. They're built for every phase of play, whereas I think what we've got is really good in certain areas. And then, like we've sort of spoke about with the issues that are there because of the experience, because of the physicality, if you can address those issues, then I think we're quite close. But it's how quickly you can address them.
Connor, do you know what I see in Arsenal? And I think this is the difference, the biggest difference. When you look at Arsenal's starting 11, let's say, you look at them and you could say there is legitimately about at least four players that can wear the captain's armband. And that's because of their leadership roles. Obviously, you've got, Gabriel, Declan Rice, Odegaard is captain, and then you've got Saka there as well. Like, you've got real players that can wear a captain's armband. I don't see that in Chelsea. And in Tottenham, I'd say there's more captains in that side than in Chelsea. I just don't see that the captain, the leadership at Chelsea.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that James is not your stereotypical captain. I think he's a more lead by example. And I think we've got too many of that ilk. I think Cucurella, similar, but these players like Enzo Fernandez, like you say, we've not really got the big voice. And then in the same way that Arsenal do with Rice and Gabriel and these players, they're not just leaders with what they do on the pitch. They're not just leaders vocally, but again, physically, they set the tone.
And that's what I mean. Like, when you look at Tottenham, they got like Romero, they've got Palhinha now, like Van der Ven, he can wear the captain's armband. And it's like, I look at them and I say to myself, these are teams. I mean, to be honest, I think Tottenham are even in a better position than Chelsea, because going forward, you guys are great. I think you're top heavy. You've got some great, fantastic, young, exciting players. You've got, arguably the best number 10 in the world in Palmer. But defensively, Chelsea always look really fragile, especially against the bigger teams.
Yeah, and I think losing Levi Colwill as well, just to caveat, is he's a big part of that. Because exactly what we've just said in terms of leadership, yes, he's young, but he is the guy, if we're going to point to anyone in that back line, that has that sort of grit about him, and he sort of has that ability to put himself and lead by example, but also be a vocal leader. And he's really been a big part of us on the ball and off the ball. So losing him at the start of the season was huge.
So would you say that Tottenham are in a better position, like squad-wise and player-wise, than Chelsea right now?
No, because I don't think they've got as much talent. Like, don't get me wrong, I actually think Tottenham have brought in some really good sort of young players like Bergvall, Archie Gray, big fans of both of them. I just think that maybe in terms of long term, how we're going to sort of, if you compare the two, I think there's more world beaters in the Chelsea team
what do you think, Chris? Chris was smiling there. What do you think?
Well, I think we've got a very, very good squad. And, the question that Jay posed about how far up we are, challenging for the Premier League title, that's exactly where Spurs fans want to be. And we haven't been there since under Mauricio Pochettino, been through so different managers and, so much change has happened at the football club, in the last couple of months on the pitch, off the pitch. But we've got to be very proactive in the next couple of transfer windows to be in that conversation. And, we've got to spend money, and it's got to be spent wisely, because we have spent money before. I know we joke about the £1 billion that Chelsea have spent, and you look at some other in some other teams like Manchester United, where the recruitment in past years has been pretty poor. It needs to be top notch, and Chris, we definitely want to be in a position where we're challenging.
Well, Chris, all I heard was, the problems that Tottenham had was Levy. Levy's left now. So now, obviously, there's no excuses on that front. One thing I would say about Tottenham, I think you guys are a striker away from really challenging. Like, if Harry Kane was to come back to Tottenham, I would put Tottenham up there as legitimate contenders. I mean, I definitely think you're finishing the Champions League, but there's a conversation there because I feel like you guys are solid defensively. You've got a decent midfield, and I just think you need a real goal scorer now.
I feel like we're a handful of players away, if I'm honest, Jay, and realistic about it, because you take some of these players out of the team and, we really do struggle with the depth. Injuries have been such a massive part. And I know every football fan will tell you that, but the 2 seasons under Ange and this season so far under Thomas Frank, we've got 10 players out. We're in October. So injuries have been a really massive part.
So you don't think Champions League is realistic if you get a striker?
Champions League would be realistic if we got a striker, and consistency is a massive key of football. And
Right.
There are a number of players that are inconsistent, and Thomas Frank needs to work on that, and I'm sure he will, because he's done a great job at Brentford in the Premier League, hence why he got the Spurs job. So I do have faith in him, but I do just want to, as I said earlier, I just want to see more entertaining football at Tottenham.
Right, both of you, either nod your head or shake your head 'cause we're out of time. Would you take a draw this weekend?
No, we want to win.
No? OK, good. I like that. Chris, Connor, thank you. Good luck to both of you.
Thank you.
Thanks,